Good afternoon, good morning. For me it's also already afternoon. I'm very happy you are here. I'm a professor of finance and firm acquisition, and around 2004 I started a research project on success and failure in business transfers. And you have to imagine, we are in the Netherlands, we are a developed economy, rich country, and there was nothing, completely nothing. Only about family succession a little bit, but no statistics. Hardly any knowledge. And the only thing the government did since the 1990s is to increase startup entrepreneurship. So at the universities, I work at the university of course, we had only programs for startup entrepreneurship. And nobody thought about educating successors. Still, the number of programs educating successors is very tiny compared to startup entrepreneurship. We have now 20 programs running. But more or less we started from scratch also in 2004. And then in 2007 the Chamber of Commerce were very happy to find me, and we started to join and to work together. And in 2010 we started a program for successors, and now we have a 1-week program for successors all around Europe, if it's available, because there are many, many hurdles to take in a succession or in a business transfer. Now I will skip some of my slides, but it's important to know that the type of entrepreneur differs a lot for a startup and a firm acquisition or for a family succession. These are complete different types of entrepreneurs. I will skip a little bit, but these are the 4 areas where you can compare entrepreneurs in knowledge. For example, we find that successors, family successors, are generally lower educated than startup entrepreneurs. We also find that the motivation to start up a business is very different from startup entrepreneurs than from family successors or firm acquirers. Generally, firm acquirers and family successors have a very nice position. Generally, they have work already. They have a lot of options, and many of the startup entrepreneurs do it out of necessity because they became redundant, were fired at 35 or 40 years old. And even if you look at age, the general family successor and also the firm acquirer is younger than the startup entrepreneur, much younger. So around 32 on average. And the startup entrepreneur is typically around 40. So this, you don't expect it, only when you start to research it. Also the capabilities differ. So what we find is that market awareness is much higher for family successors and firm acquirers than for startup entrepreneurs. Startup entrepreneurs generally don't have a clue about the market in the beginning. But the people that have been working in businesses before or in a family firm, they know about the market. You should have market awareness, otherwise you pay a high price when you buy a firm. So you should know the value of the firm by looking at the market, not at the valuation. You should look at the market. The market is always first, not the valuation. Valuation is theoretical model, nice, but you should know the price in the market. It's about the price, not about the valuation. And also in characteristics, we found a lot of differences. For example, family successors and also firm acquirers are more dominant people. They should be, because if you have employees, you have to take the lead. They also have more endurance. They stick to the business. They don't leave the business. Many startup entrepreneurs, survival rate of startup is very low. In bad economic times, 3 out of 10 survive. In good economic times, 5 out of 10 survive. But if you look at business transfer and the successor, 95% still is there after 5 years. So these people, they really put their teeth in the firm and support it, and start to innovate. So there are many different types of entrepreneurs. And we have a third type of entrepreneur that is not mentioned in the presentation, and it's very, very common at the moment, is franchise entrepreneur, franchise taker. So many of the shops you see are franchise. So the franchise formula is by a very small group of people, and franchise taker has to do the formula, and generally has a, if you look at the 4 profiles, here you see that entrepreneur also has 4 key areas to perform. One is pioneer. If you're a very large percentage of your characteristic is on pioneer, you're typically a startup entrepreneur. You have the sales. If you're a good salesman, a good franchiser, and low on management, you don't have management capabilities. Generally, this is franchise person. And you see the takeover and family successors generally are good on all of the aspects. And our students, for example, have a very high percentage of the green management because they are educated in management, of course. Now, this is one of the profiles we generally get from our students because before they come into our programs, we want to see their profiles. So we test them. And this is a measurement. I will give it to you then. But it's available. It's very well tested in several countries. I always use it for my scientific research. But one of the typical things of a person who takes over a firm is lower risk-taking than a startup entrepreneur. And you should, because you put a lot of money on the table. Or you have a long commitment to the firm in the family firm before you go in. And also we see that market awareness is much higher, which I told already, and dominance is much higher. So, different profile. Now, there are many widespread things about the successes of startup entrepreneurs, but you know only 1 in 100,000 firms will be a large firm when it starts up. 1 in 100,000. 99% stay self-employed. Sorry to say, but generally they don't have employees. They are copycats. Research shows most of the startup entrepreneurs are copycats. They just copy something, barbershop, web shop, you name it. These are 95% of all startups. So it's not new. It doesn't innovate anything in the economy. And also, people think about selling a business or buying a business, it's all about money. But our research shows time and again that it's not about money, it's about trust. It's about trust. When the seller doesn't trust the buyer, it's no deal, generally. For the larger firm, yes, it's only about money. But for SME firms, small micro firms up until 10 employees, 10, 20, 30 employees, it's about trust. Handing over your baby, wanting to have a good new entrepreneur there. So we see that if there is trust, the price generally is not a problem. If you get more money than you ask, then in your mind, the entrepreneur is not more happy. If he gets 30% less, he's not more unhappy. Nothing happens. Of course, there's a threshold. There's a minimum. And also, one of the things that makes a business transfer difficult and complex is that the old owner, selling party or family patriarch, thinks that the business will go on as it was. No. When a new owner comes in, when a successor comes in, the business will change. Will change a lot. Succession is one of the most innovative points of SME. Because imagine, when you buy a house, what will happen? Will the house stay the same? Or will you start to transform the house where you're in? Generally, when a new owner comes in, you start to rebuild a house, change the garden, change the room, change the furniture. A lot of things will change. Now here you see that one of the projects we did is that those firms that we saw, first of all, that 75% of all firms that are sold change in a period of 3 years. So most of the business owners who sold a firm don't recognize the firm anymore. Some of it, but a lot of things have been changed. And it is very important to do 2 things in the process. So when a buyer and a seller start to talk with each other, they should talk about the future of the firm first. What are your ideas? How will you manage the firm? What will you change? And if they have agreement on this, if they have the same kind of opinion and the same time of feeling, then trust will build, because they talk about the firm, about the baby. And when this happens, the deal is going very well. Talk about the future. Especially in family firm, when there's a different vision of parents and children, you should talk about the future. Which direction will the firm go? Where will we invest together? Very important. Only then it works. You see the red line? The red line, this is a performance measurement. The scale goes up to 16, and the bottom line is 4, so between 4 and 16. And those firms who both change the organization and start to innovate their services, they perform best, generally. And the red line are generally family firms. They underperform when there comes a family successor. And this is because of loyalty of the successor. They find it offensive to change too much, because then they say, my parents didn't do a good job. And here you see, this is Swedish research, what happens with the firm in the first 5 years. And in the blue line you see the transfer to outsiders, and in the red line you see the transfer within the family. And what happens in the first and the second year? You see profit is going down. It's EBITDA. It goes down quickly. What happens? What could happen in the firm when the new owner comes in and profit goes down so steeply? Yes, there's a lot of investment. So profit goes down. That's usual. And after 2 or 3 years, the firm gears up, starts to grow, the profit rise. And in the red line you see that when a successor comes in and is well prepared, profit goes up a little bit. Instead of investing, there's no investment, hardly investments. And then in a few years, performance goes down. This is typically what we see, not only in my country, but also in Sweden and France. We have data from it. And this is the process when you don't talk about the future. You should always talk about the future, and have to know how you invest. Because if you sell off a firm, you have to know, if you are a firm owner and you sell off the firm, one of the expectations is that you stay a little bit into the firm with your money. Otherwise the buyer can't find the finance. You have to show your trust. And here you see survival rate. And the survival rate when an outside owner comes in is a little bit lower than in family firm, because the risk is higher. If you start to invest, of course, the risk will be higher. So family firms have a higher survival rate, but outside acquirers have a better profit. Now, what are the real hurdles in the transaction? First of all, we see that most buyers and sellers don't have experience in the process. So this makes it very complex. It also makes it complex to ask the right question. If you don't have experience, how can you ask the right question? You don't know. You don't know where to ask for. So what we always do is we try to bring in as much of entrepreneurs as possible in our program and let them exchange experience. When I tell something to entrepreneurs, I'm a professor, they think, oh, this is a stupid professor from a university. What does he know about business? A lot. I come from 3-generation line business. I've been a businessman myself. But still, I'm a professor, so they don't believe me. So we always bring in other entrepreneurs telling about their experience, and then the entrepreneurs say, oh, this is an entrepreneur, I should listen. This is a colleague of mine. There's hardly education for selling your firm or for successors to take over a firm. Another one is that access to support is difficult, especially for smaller firms, very small firms. They don't have that much capacity to buy or to hire an advisor. So it's very important that matching platforms, like the matching platform of Dan, gives also support. And if you have a matching platform, You can give support partly digital by preparing, selling your business. And you can have some consults, generally at a lower price, before you have to pay the higher prices. So the preparation phase is very important. Then even if you're well prepared, we see that a lot of entrepreneurs postpone selling their firm. They always postpone. Because it's their baby. It's very hard to let go. We do research, and we have a program running now in Utrecht. We have entrepreneurs of 65 saying they have 10 years, maybe they will sell off in 10 years. They are 65. Yeah, maybe. I'm busy in my mind, and I think, and maybe in 10 years I will sell. Come on, wake up. If you're 75, nobody will give a damn about your business, and they will pay the very low price because they know you have to go out. You should always sell when you're still vital and be there. And of course, financing is challenging. Even in economies where there is crowdfunding or bankers being available to do it, it's still hard. So financing the deal is always a challenge. Generally, the buyer has to bring in money, the seller has to leave money in the company, getting it out later, and then a third party will finance the rest. In the process, we also looked at matching platforms, and I'm very happy that there are 4 matching platforms already in Romania, because we did it across European countries. At that moment, we didn't have the contacts yet with Romania, then, because it was 215 you weren't in yet. So we didn't include Romanian platform. Matching platform is very important because it's about visibility. It makes it visible that there are firms for sale. Many firm owners say, yeah, my firm is for sale. I always ask, who knows your firm is for sale? And nobody. I don't say it. Of course I don't say it, because my clients will run away, my employees will run away. I don't say it. Well, if you don't say it, how can I know that I can buy it? This is typical. And we did also some research in the Netherlands, because we have matching platforms already from 1996 on. And we see that only 40% of all businesses for sale are on a matching platform. So minority. Because the owners are so afraid. Everybody knows. If I see too many gray hairs and you're getting old, I know your business is for sale. Come on, don't cheat. Yeah. And the assumption that only firm owners with a higher age will sell off their firm is wrong, because about 55% of all firms for sale are from entrepreneurs below 50. Below 50. This is a large part of the market. Because nowadays, nobody stays in this profession for longer than 10, 12, maybe 15 years. Even entrepreneurs, they just sell off and do something else. Younger people even quicker, 7 years, 8 years. They have enough of it, want to do something else. So visibility is very important. About transparency of the platform, there's a long way to go still. Because, like Ray and Pressa, they check everything. But many platforms don't check the facts. It's the advisor that should check the facts, but nobody knows if he does it correctly. Another good thing about the platforms is that it makes your firm internationally visible, because more than 50% of all platforms in Europe have international websites. You can choose many languages, or they have subsidiaries in other countries. So this is the good thing. What should improve also is services available on the platform, like valuation, taxation, law things, because these things make business transfers complex. And you can make it digital. It can be at low cost. So there are some platforms, I know some platforms in Finland and in Norway, and also in the Netherlands, they provide services at a very low price because it's digital. And then when the business transfer broker comes in, a lot of preparation has been done, so you don't have to bring in so much money to pay the business broker. Okay, now these are some of the entrepreneurs we have had in our courses, and we see generally a business transfer transaction fails because of the selling party, not of the buying party. It's always the selling party, retreating, postponing, saying no at the end, even if it's their own family. And this has to do with psychological barriers, and Edwin will go into that more deeply. You see at the top left an entrepreneur who has a very good business in safety clothing, and his son is very talented. He was in our program. This entrepreneur really survived in bad economic times, so had good business, still profit when the economy was not very good. And then his son came in, and of course his son was well educated, much higher educated than the entrepreneur, had a lot of ideas, wanted to innovate the firm, and it was an instant conflict. So he didn't give his son way to innovate. So his son said, "Dad, we do either of two things. Either I come in the firm and we start to innovate, or I will say goodbye to you and I start my own business. What do you choose?" So this is typically family dynamics. And both dad and son came to us. And I said, I think reasoning of your father is okay, because he managed the firm through difficult times, so he has a lot of experience. So listen to the experience of your father. And then I said to the father, you should be careful about family capital, because you should give an opportunity to your son to innovate. Maybe not the complete business in once, but part of the business. So give him a project. The project is very successful. He showed it to a web shop. Turnover increased 300%. So his son was right, but also the father was right, because he wants to put the money where he earns money. Yeah? So these are the complex things in family firm. And also at the top right, there is an entrepreneur with a very, very nice firm, 50 employees in medical devices, and he still thinks his son will take over the business. Whereas in our program it was so very clear that his son didn't have any interest to take over the business. He still wants to convince his son to take over the business, but our estimation is it won't happen ever, ever, ever. So the reality check within family is not that clear always. Yeah. So these are the psychological barriers that Edwin will dig into. We see that entrepreneurs postpone or even cancel the complete transaction because of fear for future emptiness. These people, you know, even if you're 75, always worked 80 hours, 100 hours a week. And then I talk with these guys and I ask them, okay, tell me, what will you go and do after you've sold your business? And they say, oh, I will take a holiday. No. You could take holiday all the time. I will play golf. Oh, show me your membership card. No. I'm not member. No, you will never be member. Yeah, I will buy a sailing ship and then cross the ocean. I said, oh, do you have a sailing ship? Can you sail? No, I cannot sail. Well, don't talk bullshit to me, you know. It's bullshit. So the fear for future emptiness is there. Letting go of the firm, very difficult. Choosing among the children, this is really tough. But the thing that is most difficult of all is handing over leadership and ownership. We see even in family firms where the sons and daughters are in agreement, they have a clear line for the future that the shares are not handed over. Only when father or mother dies, then something happens. And this is very frustrating for the younger generation, because it shows there's no trust. There's a lack of trust of the parents. How to deal with it? Edwin will tell about it. These are some of our successors, our buyers. We have done a course for 200 students already. 50 of the students really took over the firm. And the guy on the left and the guy on the right took over already several firms. And every time they come back to us for advice. And we are not typical educators. We don't say, you're at the university, if you've done your course, go away. You have your markings, go away. We say, you're always welcome. You're in a family of firm acquires some successes now, and you can always consult us for 0 costs. We are paid by the government. And the lady in the middle is now co-owner of a very successful small business together with her mother. So 2 ladies in charge. Great. So family firms, don't forget there is a lot of women talent in your firm. Don't go to the oldest son all the time. Look for the most talented, not for the male or the female. Very important, because there's a lot of talent there. Thank you.